So, an unmanageable workload, long hours and poor work-life balance, constantly shifting priorities and focus, perceived pressure to respond outside of work, a lack of alignment between the stated values and the behaviours we experience every day in the workplace, a lack of tools, trust and freedom to get the job done, and a lack of growth opportunity or recognition from our colleagues. There's an app to fix all that, right? I'm Meinke, I'm the Chief Product and Innovation Officer at Zest, and today I'm going to explore how to build and communicate an authentic employee proposition that supports the well-being of our people across different generations. So, well-being washing is the practice where organisations promote and celebrate superficial well-being initiatives while failing to address the broader causes of poor organisational well-being. It often involves publicising physical and mental health awareness campaigns or wellness programmes that often focus on the personal aspects of well-being, often placing the onus on the individual and the management of their symptoms, without acknowledging or changing the broader organisational factors and environment that often lead to poor workplace well-being. So what is well-being? I know you know this, but it's important context. So it's a broad concept. It encompasses various aspects of an individual's life, including physical, mental, financial, emotional, social health, not just a single aspect. Different aspects of our well-being are closely interrelated. So nearly 1 in 3 people living with a long-term physical health condition also suffers from poor mental health. Half of adults with a debt problem are also living with poor mental health. And 1 in 5 people that have experienced mental health issues as a result of issues with their housing. And why should we care as employers about employee well-being? Again, I'm sure you've heard these stats. But work-related stress and burnout is costing the economy $28 billion a year and resulting in 23 million sick days a year in terms of absenteeism. People working in spite of their illness or not able to perform at their full ability is costing employers $24 billion annually. And burnout can cause people to become less engaged with their work, resulting in lower productivity and higher turnover rates. Of those who left their work in the last year, 59% said it was somewhat largely or entirely due to mental health and well-being related issues, according to Deloitte's latest survey. So it's clearly a problem worth solving. So as employers, how are we getting on in our journey? Well, 7 in 10 companies now celebrate mental health awareness days. And that's great because it means we recognise it's important, we recognise there's value in celebrating it. However, 46% of companies say they don't have a plan around employee wellbeing. So there's a bit of a gap starting to open up. And in that same Deloitte Wellbeing at Work survey, most respondents said that their wellbeing had stayed the same, got worse, stayed the same or got worse compared to the previous year. And around half said they were always often exhausted, stressed, or overwhelmed. And only 37% of employees haven't suffered from a characteristic associated with burnout in the last year. So this impacts a lot of people. And workplace well-being varies across age groups, with levels of enjoyment and fulfillment of work increasing, and the levels of stress and sense of being overwhelmed decreasing with age. 35% of Gen Z feel that employers are doing the bare minimum to support their mental health. So there's clearly work to be done. So let's explore some of those factors that impact employee well-being. So firstly, there are the personal factors. So physical health and exercise, lots of research out there to demonstrate that link. And physically active workers take 27% fewer sick days as a result. An individual's financial security plays a large role. So 60% of full-time employees are stressed about their finances, and 1 in 3 employees say that money worries have negatively impacted their performance at work. mental health is quite often, rightly, a core focus of our wellbeing strategies. And young people are experiencing more poor mental health at a significantly higher rate than their older counterparts. Gen Z are reporting 3 times the rate of anxiety and depression compared to baby boomers. So there are some generational patterns. And our social connections are important to our well-being. Employees who have strong relationships both inside and outside of work report better well-being. So clearly personal factors are really important. But what is often overlooked are the organisational factors. And employee well-being tends to suffer when people are placed under really high job demands and have access to low job resources. So let's just talk about those high job demands. Excessive workloads. Almost a third of us struggle with our workload on a weekly basis. Poor work-life balance. So not simply working long hours, but always being on call, always feeling like you're expected to respond when you're not at work. Our own research showed that 86% of people said that having a good work-life balance is essential to them. And interestingly, we found that employees under 35% are both more likely to state that their career is more important to them, but that actually they don't work longer than they're required to. So it may indicate a shift in our perception around work-life balance. Role ambiguity and changing priorities can place a really high demand on your people. A recent report showed that only 60% of employees strongly agreed that they actually know what's expected of them at work. And that misalignment can lead to stress and burnout. Employees that report toxic behaviour and conflict in their workplace suffer from higher levels of exhaustion. They're more likely to report being under pressure and have a more negative view of the impact of their work on both their physical and their mental health. So placing our people under really high job demands has an impact on their well-being. But also, I mentioned low job resources. So coupling that high demand with low job resources. So a lack of control over our jobs and how we actually achieve success. Do we have an appropriate level of autonomy that allows us the freedom to succeed? That's been found to improve employees' mental health and increase job satisfaction. A lack of access to tools and technology can cause frustration and reduce productivity. A lack of support and recognition. If employees who feel valued are more likely to report better physical and mental health, as well as higher levels of engagement, satisfaction, and motivation. And a lack of opportunities for growth and learning. Continuous learning can improve our mental well-being because it gives us a sense of purpose and accomplishment. And employees who feel that they can't develop professionally in their roles are more likely to lose interest and develop negative attitudes, cynicism being very commonly associated with burnout. So many of our interventions that we have today in terms of our wellbeing strategies are focused on the top one. They're about changing the worker, not the workplace. But many of the factors that we just went through are about the organisation and its culture. And therefore we risk that perception creeping in of well-being washing, where our actions don't necessarily reflect the reality of people's lived experience. Think about your own well-being strategy. Have you got the balance right between those things? So how do we build a unified employee proposition that both protects and promotes good employee well-being? Well, we need to deliver a holistic approach, integrating both those personal factors and the organisational factors. There is no single silver bullet. If you're chasing a silver bullet, you're going to fail, right? And if you're thinking that countering the high job demands and addressing the low job resources is going to be the hardest bit within your well-being strategy upon reflection, it's probably also going to be the most impactful part of your well-being strategy. Even if you deliver and execute a really good well-being strategy focusing on personal aspects, you're still going to be perceived as well-being washing by your employees if you're not also addressing those organisational aspects. And the good news is that the organisational attributes required to promote good well-being are the same as those that are required to promote a high-performing environment. So this isn't at all, don't let anyone believe that this is about getting people to do less. It's about getting people to do what they do better. So we still have to address those personal aspects. And we need to create a workplace that helps to address that. And central to your relationship with your people is the compensation that you provide them in exchange for their time, for their expertise. So you need to build a compensation and benefits offering that supports your people's physical, mental, emotional, financial well-being. Our recent research of over 500 HR leaders, over 2,000 employees, highlighted a really high demand for well-being benefits. So 3/4 of HR leaders said that their business had introduced more well-being benefits over the last 12 months. 60% of employees want a greater choice of well-being benefits, and that rises to 70% for 18 to 34-year-olds and 80% for workers in the capital. And the number one benefit that employees are looking for this year, as last year, is private medical insurance. And a well-being allowance to spend on aspects that are important to you, ranked 4th. So really important. And you need to ensure that your benefits offering supports people through different stages of their life. But even where there are broad trends amongst different age groups, don't make assumptions about individual needs. So give people the ability to tailor their benefits package around their own needs. And our top 5 benefits that our research found employers had recently introduced all have impacts on aspects of well-being. So a 4-day week, mindfulness programs, increased pension contributions, paid mental health leave, professional development allowance. In the holistic sense of well-being, they all have a positive impact. And the importance of getting that right can't be understated. Our own research found that 56% of employees said that they would leave their job if a different employer offered them a better benefits package. And that rises to 64% for that 18 to 34-year-old demographic. And while 49% of businesses have increased their investment in benefits, nearly half of that 18 to 34-year-old population think that their workplace benefit package is still inadequate. Please do pop by our stand and grab a hard copy of this research, because it is honestly really, really insightful. But we need to build out a broader employee proposition to address employee well-being. So let's do that. So we just talked about the importance of pay and benefits, but when communicating your employee proposition, ensure that you consider all the aspects that help to address personal aspects of well-being. So your policies and your practices around your parental leave, flexible working, working from home, absence, they can all have a huge impact on your employees' sense of well-being and the support that's available to them. In some stages of our life, they're probably more important than any benefit you're going to give them. But those policies are often hidden away and poorly understood, maybe in a SharePoint folder that no one knows where it is and it hasn't been updated for a while. Present it to your people next to the rest of your people content, next to their pay, next to their benefits. Your policies should be sitting alongside. And foster strong relationships. We talked about the need for social connections. Foster strong relationships within your organisation through company activities, social events, clubs. Consider introducing donut calls or coffee calls so people get a chance to connect who might not have a chance to connect in their normal weekly work. Make those proactive aspects of your employee proposition that you promote alongside your people policies, your benefits. And in doing so, make sure that there are diverse, inclusive, safe spaces for all your people to form connections. On the organisational attributes, provide clarity of your mission and how people's work connects to it. Give them a sense of purpose. Share the organisation's mission, provide clarity on how they can help form their objectives, give them a sense of control over their work, highlight how their department, personalise it around them, how their department contributes to the overall goal. Lots of people feel very disconnected from their daily activity and the mission of the organisation. And ensure your people are aware how they can get involved in steering groups, committees that help to shape the future of your organisation. Provide clarity on your values and your model behaviours within your workspace. Reduce the space for that toxic behaviour to emerge. And for each, be really clear what they look like in practice. Provide really strong case studies for your people. Bring them to life. Make those case studies relevant to your people. Does the case study of how you live your values look the same for someone in a frontline operational role or someone in a head office environment? Maybe, maybe not. And those case studies need to be authentic. They're not just words on a page. They resonate with what people do on a daily basis. Provide people with a manageable workload. This is the hard stuff, right? And make excessive workload a management problem. So give people the tools and guidance around your organisational expectations and the processes, the tools that are available to them. Develop channels through which workload is proactively discussed. Is it in your one-to-one templates? Is everyone having that conversation openly? Set really clear expectations on a manager's role in helping to prioritise work rather than pushing work out. And provide them training to help identify stress and burnout. Ensure people's focus time is protected. If that's the nature of their role, stop disrupting your people all the time. Again, set organisational standards, provide guidance around those things. And promote a healthy work-life balance. Again, using those tools and guidance. Put down in black and white what it means to not be at work. What's our expectation of people when they're actually on their way home, when they're spending time with their family? What do we expect them to do from a work perspective? Hopefully it's nothing, right? But I bet people in this room are sitting there thinking, but I do. In my evening, I jump on my phone, I get an important message, someone needs me to respond to unblock their work. You're still at work. So consider introducing core and flexible hours in terms of when people know that they can communicate synchronously with each other and asynchronously, because it fits around people's life. If you've got remote working, be really clear on why and when people need to come into the office so that they can plan their life around it. I think that's all people are expecting. And ensure people have an awareness in your technology stack of all the features that are available so that when you send a communication at night, it doesn't arrive with them until 9 o'clock the next morning. If you're using Teams, it's right-click on send, by the way, and it will tell you you can schedule it to be delivered tomorrow morning instead. And model healthy behaviours. If leadership aren't modelling healthy behaviours, then you'll be in real trouble. Ensure employees feel supported. So curate relevant wellbeing information and outline the resources and support channels that are available to employees. Regularly acknowledge and celebrate your people's achievements and success. And growth and learning. Make sure that you actually communicate what tools are available to people. How do people access them? So now we have a comprehensive proposition. And hopefully that helps to provide a really solid foundation for strong employee well-being. But you're at an innovation conference, really, so how can technology help to ensure that people understand your employee proposition? We need to make sure all aspects are available, presented alongside each other in a single channel. You may have tools already in your organisation that are capable of doing that. There's plenty of tools outside that are. Platforms like Zest allow you to easily curate highly engaging content, and you can select, I want to insert text, images, videos, documents, links, etc. And the important bit is they need to be things that are within your control. You need to be able to update the content of your wellbeing strategy, of your people content yourself. If you're having to get on the phone to someone and ask them to update it for you, it's not going to be updated, it's not going to be fresh, it's not going to be relevant, and you're going to lose engagement. And we talked about the different needs of different people. How do you personalise your people's experience of your employee proposition so that it actually resonates? Some aspects, like your benefits, clearly we want to tailor around our own needs. But the same is true for other aspects of your employee proposition that we just talked about. A flexible working policy and the value of it might be different for someone who is going to be in a demographic who typically have elder care responsibilities versus a demographic that has, that's maybe going to start a family. you can position the language, the benefits that people are likely to experience differently for those different cohorts, so long as you have the tools to do so. And that's really the good news about technology. Not only does it allow you to tell that story, craft that authentic narrative about your proposition, but also make it resonate through simple rules that are in your power to create the groups, to direct the messages to the people they're going to land with and help your message cut through. So, in summary, there is an increased focus on well-being with many organisations. And that's great, but despite that, many employees are feeling that their well-being is deteriorating. And we've got to avoid that perception of well-being washing. You've got to, if there's one thing to leave here with, it's just a reflection on, am I focusing enough on the organisational aspects? Or am I avoiding them because they're going to be the difficult conversations with the leadership of this business? And technology can help to provide that single platform to make sure that your message is both engaging in terms of the content you're pushing out, but also that it cuts through and you can present a really personal message to the individuals in your organisation. All done. Thank you very much indeed.